Now, this week's talk is still changing, because we're still changing. But last week, I railed against the consciousness of complacency. I quoted Reverend A.W. Tozer as saying, complacency is the deadliest foe to spiritual growth. It's the deadliest of all foes to spiritual growth. And we talked about how zeal was the antidote and how we could turn our thinking around, how we could repent and then discover these easy and graceful alignment-based ways to be one with change and move forward in the world. And on Wednesday, somebody asked me a whole bunch of questions, and I loved it. Here's the quote, complacency is a deadly foe of all spiritual growth, and here are the questions. Isn't complacency actually a good thing? Doesn't that mean we're content? Whoa. Isn't it important? Isn't it important as a part of our spiritual unfoldment to become content, to detach, and to just accept? And what's the difference between contentment, complacency, and peace? I loved these questions because they got my mind spinning even more, and they got me going deeper to realize that the passiveness, I said it right the first time at 9 o'clock. The passiveness of peace and contentment, the passiveness of contentment and complacency is one thing, but the proactivity of peace is actually super vital. Peace is super consciousness, whereas contentment is not only the feeling that I have when I take a nap on a late summer afternoon by the pool, but it's that lull, it's that suck me into stagnation and inactivity. Peace is something we have to be constantly vigilant for our own spiritual growth. Contentment and complacency leads us to unconsciousness. Super consciousness, unconsciousness. It's totally different. Peace is that pathway, that flow that gives us the mastery of change, and complacency is when we just say, well, that's the way things are. That's the way they're always going to be. Now, most people, when you ask them if they're complacent, they say, oh, no, not me. Oh, no, not me. But do we get up in the morning and think the same thoughts? Do we get up in the morning and follow the same routines? Do we get up in the morning and reach for that which is familiar? Do we go through our day looking at people and experiences and dismissing them because they don't match our present? They only match the past. So maybe I'm guilty. You're fine. But I'm guilty of slipping and sliding into complacency when I don't even mean to, when I'm not even aware of it, until I make a conscious choice to embrace peace, until I make that conscious choice to follow the pathway of vibrancy, until I make that conscious choice to embrace the changes that are going on in my life. Now, there are 5 main signs that we have slided away into complacency. The first one is that we're far too easily satisfied. When we are complacent, we are easily satisfied with incremental growth and minor achievements as being enough. As being enough. What we're really doing is we're not setting our sights high enough. So let's say that you committed to a practice of meditation and you meditated every day for a week. Well, I am the first person to say celebrate that achievement. You should celebrate all wins. I'm the first person to say celebrate every win we get. But I'm also the first person to say don't stop there. Meditation and meditating is a pathway to peace. Meditating is when we come back into alignment with our holy purpose. Meditation is that time we come back into alignment with our divinity. Meditation is the beginning of peace. It's the beginning of the way we begin to embrace change. Step number 2 for complacency is we're quick to make excuses. When we are complacent, we are quick to offer all kinds of reasons about why we're not growing. why we're not available to think new thoughts or to try new routines. So how many of you eat breakfast regularly every day? Okay, I'm looking for a shared context. How many of you eat at least one regular meal every day? Okay, so for one of my regular meals every day, I eat eggs, and that's dinner. And why is that? I mean, it's like, because I'm so busy. So what happens is a challenge to my meal planning becomes an obstacle, and the obstacle becomes a barrier, and eventually the barrier becomes an excuse. Well, I'm just too busy. I can't do that because I'm too busy. So excuses, what they really do is they anchor us in the past. What the excuses really do is anchor us and cement us into complacency. Richard Bach says, argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they're yours. Sure enough, they're yours. How many times have we heard a person say, why can't I be prosperous? Or why can't I go back to work? Or why can't I take that dream vacation? Why can't I? Why can't I? Why can't I? It's just one excuse after another. So the turnaround, the pathway to peace is actually argue for your abilities, and they shall be yours. Argue for your abilities, and they shall be yours. Number three is never enough time. When we are complacent, we have a veneer of activity and busyness, but we are seldom strategic with our time. And this is kind of my life a lot of times. Not always. Like when I'm awake, it's not like this. But I'm busy on my days off. I'm busy when I work. And this is actually when I choose to eat eggs for dinner every night. Because I'm busy. I have a full life, and I'm going full on, and I stay somewhere too late, or I stay here at work too late, and then on the way home, I don't want to stop and go to the grocery store. That takes too much time. I'm busy. And then I don't want to defrost something because that takes too much time, and I'm busy. And then I don't want to prepare something because that takes too much time, and I'm busy, so I end up having eggs. And here, this is one of the trickiest ones of all, because I don't even recognize it, because I just think if I change my content, that I'll change my life. So if I could just find something that was equally fast and easy as eggs, like cheese quesadillas, then I would be embracing change and I would be solving my issues. But this really goes deeper than that. This is about how I strategically choose to use my time. This is like new ideas and old wineseskins. No longer teachable, number 4, is a sign for complacency. When we are complacent, we resist being pushed or challenged. And I think the difference when we look at this one, we become complacent because there's a difference between somebody who tries to come up and teach you something like you're broken or you need to be fixed, versus somebody who comes up and tries to teach you something that amplifies the good in you. So I don't know about you, but I'll just ask you rhetorically, how do you feel when somebody comes up and tells you how to make your life better? How do you feel when somebody comes up to you because they see you as less than and they're going to help you? How do you feel when somebody comes up to you and say, oh yeah, I know, I've been there, and this is all you have to do to fix it? How do you feel?
Sometimes grateful.
Oh, sometimes grateful, but that's because you're open and you're peaceful and you're holy. Me, my rebel comes up. It's like, don't tell me how to live. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to feel. Because if I start buying into what you're telling me, then I'm actually going to have to turn inward and face my insecurities. I'm going to have to turn inward and face that I'm not feeling super confident about something. Let me tell you folks, it's courage, not confidence. It's courage to be open to learning. It's courage to be open to that new idea. It's courage that keeps us open. It's courage that lets us look at what's working in our lives. Let's amplify what's good. Let's amplify our dreams. Let's magnify that part. Let's turn that around. I'm loving watching the Olympics. I am so loving watching the Olympics because all of those athletes appreciate their coaches. Some of them are super open about it. Those women gymnasts, they just go up and they hug all their coaches and they're jumping up and down. And you know, the swimmers, they're super cool. But every one of those Olympic athletes acknowledges their coaches, because their coaches are there to amplify their expression of their holy purpose, to amplify the good that's in them. Michael Phelps, his coach is Bob Bowman, and Bob Bowman says, when Michael shows up to practice, open to learning, and he has the tenacity to put into practice what I'm telling him, that's when he gets better. And it's not magic. I love that. It's not magic. It's when Michael shows up, open to learning. We have a plethora of coaches available to us, because coaches are for extraordinary people, and they're for ordinary people too. We have ministers, we have psychologists, we have life coaches, we have teachers. We have teachers. Nikki and I made a commitment this week, or an agreement, I guess, because we haven't fulfilled it yet. It's an agreement to take ukulele lessons. So after we move in September, we're going to sign up for ukulele lessons. And let me tell you, even though music is an expression, is joy and wonder, we need coaches. Bruce Kenny already told us the best guy over there. But we need coaches. So to amplify our good, and when we're open and we come up open and we meet our coaches with an openness to learning, and we have the tenacity to try what they're telling us, awesome. Number 5, content with early success. So if no longer teachable is the deadliest maybe, and never enough time is the trickiest, I think this one is the saddest. The final mark of complacency is when we have a measure of success and it's proving to be enough. When I was in my ministerial training program, I had all these benchmarks and I was working so hard, and I hit one and then I had to go do another one, and then I had to go do another one, and I had to go do another one, and I asked my mentor, when do I get to rest on my laurels? Never. She just looked at me with the oddest expression on her face and she said, why would you ever want to stop being in your flow of genius? And that's what I say to you. Why would you ever want to stop being in your flow of genius? We have no idea how big and great we can be. We have no idea how big and powerful we can be. We have no idea of the immensity of our dreams. We have snippets. We have whispers. We have what we get in meditation. We have those parts that we take action on, but we have no idea how we can change the world. Our world here, our world in our community, our world that's the bigger world. That's our job. That's our holy purpose. We have no idea. So don't stop. Don't stop. Peace of mind is not the absence of conflict from life, but the ability to cope with us. We think that when we employ these strategies, that we are avoiding conflict. If I play small, I avoid conflict. If I don't try, I can never fail. If I make an excuse, people will buy it. If I rationalize and be logical, people will buy that. Peace is one of the most active, co-creative processes that we can master to embrace change so we can fly. The 5 steps that we've already talked about, but here's the pathways to peace without the complacency. Meditation, number 1. Number 2, no more excuses. Number 3, look deeper than getting new content. Number 4, have an openness to learning. And number 5, keep expanding the dream. In 1886, our co-founder Myrtle Fillmore was given 6 months to live. She did this and lived for another 36 years. She did this. This is what she said. Life became sweeter and more interesting, and we began to see a new world. In all these years, our interest has not lagged. And we have continued to enjoy the unfoldment of God's plan in our lives. The unfoldment of God's plan is in you. Step 1, meditate. Step 2, no more excuses. Affirm your abilities, and they shall be yours. Step 3, look deeper. Number 4, be open to learning. And number 5, live big. Live as big as you can, because it is your time to fly. If you didn't think so before, I hope you know it today. Today is your day to fly. So let's begin our unfoldment with step 1 as we come into a time of meditation. Let's indeed close our eyes to the outer world, to breathe in and breathe out, to feel the vibration of Mother Earth beneath us, to open to the wonder and the glory and the light of God all around us. Let's sing I Surrender.